Okay, in the previous episode, we were going to finish up the functionality of our controller because as of right now, I can walk around and I can open up the inventory. Can't actually pick anything up, so let's just do that right away. In order to do that, let's head over into our third person character and inside our event graph. Inside of our edit and project settings, I'm going to go into input. I'm going to add a new action mapping. This one is going to be a Xbox X button for me. And it's just the X button on the controller. Also known as game face button left. Over on my third person character, I am now going to do a Xbox X, this action mapping that we just made. I'm going to get my HUD ref. I'm going to get focus slot. And I'm going to check if that is valid. If that is valid, we go into a branch, and if that is valid, then I want to click that button. Left click. No, not left click. So this is our Xbox X button. So that means that it's going to be a right click. When it comes to the, well, we can just test this right away. So I can spawn in, and now I have 2 there, and I can start moving it around. Other button doesn't work though, so let's fix that. Over on my inventory slot. There we go. On the graph, I have a button here. I'm going to set the on click to that to be my click event, and left is now going to be correct. If I now play, I can now pick up and place my things how I want it to, right? That is now working as it should. Everything is working as it should over here. That's it for the controller support. Okay, so now that we're done with our controller support, let us move on to a next thing. So what I want to do is I want to create the crafting menu that Minecraft has over here. So the 2x2 window of the crafting things. Let's go into our inventory, into our interface, and into our WBP inventory. Inside here, we have a canvas panel, we have a background, we have a widget switcher. Inside our WBP inventory, we're going to wrap our player armor grid panel with a horizontal box. I do not know why it is padded so much on this one right now. Do not think we need that padding for now. This horizontal box, that's okay. I click play. It's going to move it over there. That's good. Now, inside this horizontal box is where we want to start building our crafting. So I'm going to add another uniform grid panel into this horizontal box. This is what is going to be my player crafting grid panel. Give it a variable. And I'm going to add another one to duplicate that. This is going to be my player crafting grid panel. Player crafting result grid panel. This is where the result is going to end up. And that is it for this. Now I can rename this one to be the player armor crafting screen. That's index 0 of our widget switcher. On our graph now, on our WBP inventory graph, we're going to create a new function. This one is going to be generate player crafting slots. And we need to go into a third person character for a second. And in here, I'm going to add a new inventory component. This one is going to be my player crafting inventory component. It's going to be 4x2, 4 slots maximum, 2 slots max horizontal. Inside our WBP inventory now, inside our generate player crafting slots, we can get our grid panel, player crafting grid panel. We can clear the children from that. We can get our player ref. We need to get that in order to get our crafting inventory component. Then we can get our refs. And you know what to do with those. You gotta clear them. Make sure that it's empty every time we start building it. Then we're gonna get our inventory component again. We're gonna get our contents. We're gonna do a for each loop from our contents. For each of these, we're gonna create widget, and we're gonna create our inventory slot. Index goes into index, same as before. Inventory goes into inventory. Hard ref into hard ref. This does not have a key, and also we need to add some variables to our inventory slot. So inside of our inventory slot, I'm going to add some booleans. I'm going to add a player crafting result slot, question mark, editable and expose and spawn. I'm going to add a player crafting slot, editable and expose and spawn. And then I can go back into my WBP inventory, I can refresh that, and I can tell it that this is going to be a crafting slot. I can go back and add my details here. So get refs, slot refs, add that there. You might want to access it later, so you might as well have a reference to it. And then we can get our player crafting grid panel, and we can add child to uniform grid. That is child. The row, you already know how to do all of this, so I'm just going to go through it. Component, max horizontal, goes into there. Division, holding remainder, index, max horizontal, into there. Now this should generate our player crafting slots. Now if I go into my HUD, at the very start here on our graph, not the very start, sorry, after we generate our player armor, now we're going to generate player crafting slots. I'll save, hit play, and that's it for our crafting slots. Now it doesn't look good, so let's go into our inventory, and on our player crafting grid panel, go to center that to the middle. And that's our crafting slots. Working as shit. Also, inside of our HUD, I'm going to make a new, duplicate this, generate player crafting slots. You're going to generate player crafting result slot. Singular. This one, we also need an inventory for, so we're going to duplicate this, and this is going to be our player crafting results in comp. Max slots 1, max horizontal 1. Back is on our WBP inventory. This is our crafting result, so we need to get out our result grid panel. Out from our player ref, we need to get our result inventory component. And plug that into slots, and I can remove that there. Then we can just plug that into there. We can actually just remove that altogether and just plug it in again. So index goes into index, HUD into HUD, inventory ref. This is not a player crafting slot. This is a player result slot. Bring this over here. I'm just going to put it in the bottom because I don't have to rearrange anything. It actually looks like dog shit. Let's rearrange it anyway. Player crafting result grid panel. Oh, result grid panel. Get the inventory component, plug in the max horizontal into there, and that should be it. Now we can go back into our HUD, and we can generate player crafting result slot. Like so. And that gives us our result slot up there. Our result slot does also look like shit, so let's go into our designer, get our result slot panel. This one I'm going to do fill, and then I'm going to center that also to the middle. Now we got our result on the right, and so on. This armor grid panel, I'm now going to pad that like 600 maybe to the right. A little too little. No, it's a little too much. 550 to the right. Yeah, that's okay for me. So now that we have our crafting slots and we have our crafting result, now we need to figure out how to actually implement this. So inside of my game instance, I'm going to do it there. Actually, inside of my content folder, I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call this one crafting. Let's set this color to be green. Inside of crafting, I'm going to make a new folder, structs and enums. Inside of structs and enums, I'm going to make a new structure. This structure is going to be my crafting recipes, small 2x2. Don't have to have a small there. You can actually just crafting recipes 2x2. That makes sense anyway. Lock that up there, and we're going to have some variables. The first one is a text with name. Second one, description, also text. Third one, the icon. So it's a texture 2D. Fourth, we're going to have a cost, which is going to be of type our inventory contents array. Final item, type master item, not an array, but it's a class reference. And then the final quantity, like so, and that's an index. This is how it's gonna look. Close out of that. I get inside of my game instance, I'm gonna add this. So I'm gonna add crafting recipes 2x2. Search up 2x2 here. Then make an array of those. And then let's add a test recipe. So this one is gonna be my test 1. Just a test. The icon, I'm just gonna do this one because we don't use that anywhere. And I'm gonna set up 4 inputs. Now the important thing about this system is that you need to have all the inputs, even if you're not gonna use it. So this is our index 0, so that's our top left, and then that's our top right, bottom left, bottom right. So I'm gonna do stone in all for now. Actually, stone, that's bad because it's not stackable. I'm gonna do wood and all, and it's gonna cost 1 wood. You know, final item is gonna be stone, 50 stone. That's our test recipe. Inside of my inventory slot, on our click event, we are going to check after our left right click. We have our validity check over here. Yeah, let's make it a function. I'm gonna call this one update crafting player. Inside of update crafting player, we're going to get our HUD ref, get our player ref, get crafting inventory component, we get the contents of our crafting inventory component, do a for each loop. We're going to make a new variable. We're making a local variable. This one is a local variable. This one's going to be the contents, inventory contents array. This one is going to be called crafting slot contents. So for each of the entry, when we update and we check, we're going to add the content to the local array that we are here, so we can have a register of what we have. Oh, no, sorry, it's not the contents we're going through. We're going through the refs, the slot refs. Could actually do it on the other one as well, but I am doing it on the refs. Gonna follow along, good. I'm just gonna make it a pure function. It's gonna be get all info, and all it's going to do is just, this is what I mean, you could have done it the other way around as well. But I am going to do it this way. It's going to return with the item and the quantity. Making sure that it's a pure function. Yeah. I can go back into our after crafting player. Now Now we can get all info, and we're going to plug that in. Do there. Would have actually been more efficient, I think, if you just went with the contents that we were planning in the start, but I'm going to do it this way now. Okay, so now we want to check. Okay, so we want to go through our HUD ref, get our game instance ref. Out from a game instance, you're going to get 2x2. And out from 2x2, we're going to do a for each loop with break. So now we have a register of our contents. And now we want to go through our recipe list to see if there is something there. Okay, so out from our recipe list, we can break that. And out from our cost, we're going to do another for each loop. Inside of this loop, we are checking, we're going to break open the index here. We're checking if the item is equal to, get our contents, get a copy of our contents at the index that we're at, break that open. We're going to check if the item is the same, and boolean that the required quantity that our quantity at our slot is greater or equal to the required quantity. Branch. Then we're going to make a new local variable. This one is going to be our cached slots. It's going to be a boolean, and it's going to stay an array. Our cache slots, we're going to grab that out. We're going to set array element. The index is the index that we're working with right now. We're going to set it to, if it's true, we're going to set it to be true, and then we're going to size to fit. I'm going to go like up there a little bit. Sweet. A little bit of organization. If it is false, the index is going to stay false. And size to fit. Right? So that takes care of that one. Now we have a indexed system of the valid slots in our system. Now, out from the completed of this loop over here, we are going to go through our cache slots. Keep in mind, this is for our 2x2. So we're going to check, we're going to get a copy at each of the, is equal to approved, right? So you could have done, you can do this in a loop and check. I'm going to do it separately for this video. So I'm just going to do 4x4 over here. Plug in a and boolean. Expand to get more pins. So checking if all of these are the same. Index 0, index 1, index 2, and index 3. That's 30. Like so. If this is not the same, I'm gonna make a new I'm gonna make a new variable inside of my third person character. I'm gonna make a new variable. This is gonna be my recipe to craft. It's gonna be the recipes 2x2. Compile and save. Back into my inventory slot now. I'm gonna get my HUD ref. I'm gonna get my player ref. I'm gonna get recipe to craft. No, not get, sorry. I'm gonna set recipe to craft. So if it's false, then we just wanna set it to nothing. However, if it's true, we're gonna set it to our first for each loop. Something like that. Right, so if it's true, we're gonna set it to our first for each loop, and we're gonna break out of our first loop. Like so. Then, out from completed, we're going to do a branch. We're going to get our HUD ref. I'm going to get my player ref. I'm going to get my recipe to craft. I'm going to check if my final item is valid. We're checking if it's valid. If it is not valid, well, if it is, doesn't matter. If it is, let's do false first. If it is not valid, we're gonna get our HUD ref, gonna get our player screen, get our inventory, sorry, player inventory, get my crafting result slot. Now I need a reference to that slot. So over on my inventory, this is my result. Before I add it here, I am going to promote this one to my player crafting result slot ref, just so I have that there. I can go back to my inventory slot. I can get my ref, my player crafting result ref. Out from this, I can get the inventory ref. And then I can set item info at index. If it's false, we're going to set it to be nothing. And then my crafting result ref. So my crafting result slot. Let me see here. Yeah, so I'm going to make a new variable here as well. This one is going to be a can craft question mark single array. Yeah. And on my out from my player crafting result ref, I'm going to set can craft to be false. And then I'm going to return. That's it for our false branch. Our true branch is very similar. We're just going to copy this. We're going to set the result. The index is going to be 0. It's only 1 anyway. We're going to get this recipe to craft reference down. And we're going to set the item to the final item and quantity to the final quantity. And we're going to say can craft is true. And then we're going to return. That's it for our update crafting. Back on our click event, we're going to... I do not like that we are having this validity check here. I really am not. But we're going to just get through it. So if we're left clicking, actually regardless of yeah, so we're gonna go up, move it like this up here. Then we're gonna do a player crafting slot. Gonna branch out from player crafting slot. If it's a player crafting slot, I want to update crafting player. Then we want to plug that into there, like so. If it's not, we're just going to go straight into that. We don't need to update it. So after we have added this, we need to go into our event graph. On our tick event, we're going to add a sequence. So out from then to 1, we're going to add a branch because we don't want it to be firing off all the time. We're going to check if it's a crafting result slot or Boolean. If it's a crafting result slot or a player crafting slot and Boolean. The HUD ref, get the player inventory is visible. The Boolean check there. So if it's not a normal inventory slot, right? So if it's a crafting slot or a crafting result slot, and the player inventory is visible, so we are inside our inventory, then we're going to update crafting player. Okay, so now that we have our update crafting, now we can hit play. Our recipe called for some wood, I believe. Now we can just populate that, and that gives us our recipe. Now it doesn't actually take it away yet, so let's figure out that. On our click event, we have our little thing up here. So if it's we're updating, and then we want to go into another one as well. So I'm going to just do like that. I'm going to branch. Then I want to plug both of these into this new branch. And this branch is going to check if it's a player crafting result slot. If it is not, continue on. Or if it is, we're going into a new function. This one is going to be our craft player craft. We're going to get our HUD ref. We're going to get our player ref. Oh, get player ref. We're going to get recipe to craft. Split that, and then the cost, I'm going to promote that to local, and I'm going to call this one cached cost. Then we want to go into a branch of our CanCraft. So if CanCraft is true, then we want to do stuff. If it's not, we want to return. Already picked up item, we can get that. The branch. If we have already picked up an item, we don't want to do anything for now. If we don't have one picked up, I want to get my HUD ref. I'm going to get my picked up widget. I set set info. Do we have a set all? No, we don't. Set item. I think we got one actually. It's called update all info. I'm gonna do this one though. Set item. Do we have an update? Yeah. Set quantity. And then update. Hang on. The item comes from our get item info index. Index is our index. That's going to be 0 for this one. Item quantity. And then we update, yeah. Then we go into our HUD ref, go into our player ref, get our crafting inventory component, get the refs from that, the slot refs. We're going to do a for each loop. We're going to get all info. We're going to get our cached cost. We're going to get a copy at the index. We're going to say the quantity minus the cached quantity. Our player crafting inventory component, we're going to set item info at index. Index is the array index. The quantity is this quantity. The item is this item. I'm going to put that into the loop body. Up from this player crafting component again, we're going to get item info at index and get the array index. We'll check if the quantity is greater than 0. And if it's not, I'm going to get our crafting inventory component again. I'm going to set item info index. Index is the index over here to be blank. This should take care of our crafting. Looks like a shit show. Let's try to clean that up a little bit. You can also use the same line. You don't have to do it like I am and using different ones. We're checking if it's a player crafting result slot. If it is, then we're going to call our player crafting, player craft, and then return. So, play, remove this. Let me get this in there. Okay, that didn't work. That didn't work because we were dragging it. Okay. That means that we need to figure that out. On our mouse button down, on drag detected, what we could do is, if this is a player crafting slot, do a branch. No, not a player crafting result slot, sorry. If it is not a player crafting result slot, we just want to continue. Or if it is a player crafting result slot, then let's call our, then we want to do the same thing except also call our craft. Get rid of that. And there we go. That did not, this one is actually bugged. No, it's there. Yeah, so it's not nulling it out. And that's okay. We're gonna figure that out as well. I don't want to use our pickup widget for this. So we could make an input, checking if it's a drag drop or not. Yeah, we could do that. So let's make an input, boolean, drag. So drag is going to be a local, drag local. Once we get down to here, then we're going to branch. So if drag local is true, we're just going to go into there. However, if it's false, we're going to go down there. Let's move this over, get this back up. Over on my click event now. On the playercraft drag, it's going to be false. On the preview mouse button down, on drag detected, drag is going to be true. That should theoretically. Nope. Oh, you know what? Okay, so I plugged this into there, by the way. The drag locals goes into the for the true. Yeah, it is working, guys. It is working. I'm stupid. We had, I don't know. It's working at least. Look. I can just go into there. I can drag. It's going down. I can drag. Going down. Going drag. Going down. And that is that. Let's do another test recipe just to make sure that everything's working. So I'm going to add another recipe here. This one's going to be my test 2. 2 test. And I'm going to make it new. Use this one. It's going to give me 50 wood. All of the costs, it's going to cost wood, 5 wood, and then 5 wood. So top 2 requires wood. I actually added one too many. Top 2 requires wood, and that should be it. So it requires how much wood? I said 5. So 5. There we go. It's going to give me 50. And it's going to take it away and not be able to. Okay, there we go. So that's it for our crafting system. Sorry for a bit back and forth there. It's, yeah, but we made it in the end. If you found this helpful, please let me know in the comments below and join our Discord. It's kind of awesome over there. Okay, until next time, see you later. Bye-bye.